Thanks everybody joining. Can somebody give me a thumbs up that you can hear me? Space Insiders. All right, thank you everybody. Uh, Not many times here in the East Bay can we say this, but uh, the East Bay has a new congressperson. Aisha Wahab declared the winner in the CA14 special election just now after a uh, earlier than expected update from the registrar's office, who now puts it at Wahab up by about 6 points, 53-47. That's up from on the end of at the end of the night on Tuesday, it was 2 points, just a little over 2 points. So if we watched us on Tuesday night, what happened was predicted, not with uncertainty of that day. Let's be true. Let me be real. But it looked like that. Is typically what happens is that if you have a progressive candidate and a less progressive, perceived to be less, uh, the moderate is going to hit a high point at that very beginning, and that looks like what happened here. And it seems to be we're at like 97,000 votes have been counted, and I believe so. We probably should have. I don't. I'm not sure. I have not checked, but I was under the impression that we were going to have a total of 105,000. So we're here at the end. Not enough to change the result, and so I believe AP. I know I got an alert from the New York Times had declared it for Aisha Wahab. So uh, let's get into it here. For one, I would say that progressives should be celebrating because this day it marks the end of the dark days of Eric Swalwell, who's also in the news. And at the end, I'll talk about him too and how this might connect to November. But there's a lot of things going on here. So still at 6%, that is a victory. So this victory, which is the third against Melissa Hernandez in a field for Aisha Wahab, means that there is a prize with this one. Aisha Wahab will be sworn into Congress to serve the rest of Swalwell's term through the end of December. So when that could happen, first of all, the registrar has to certify this election, and she has said that would be on the 28th. It'll be on the 28th. And as I noticed and I mentioned in the June primaries, that this registrar, who is new, she doesn't have the job yet. I don't believe she's still interim, but Mama wants that job, and she is working hard. And I think she's doing a really good job here. And I noticed that she would promise dates for updates, but get the job done and then bring it to the updates to us earlier. And that's what happened today. This result was supposed to be at this time tomorrow. So it's a little bit early. So we can, I would have guessed the next one. Well, we know the next one is supposed to be the 26th on Wednesday. And that one is likely, those are all the stragglers that came in because you can send your mail, you bring in your ballot on Tuesday, like 7:59. If they get it then, it's good. And then whenever it comes in through the mail, you got 7 days. So that's going to be the stragglers on that day. And then I assume she will be on the 28th, maybe the 27th. She'll certify it. And then that is when Aisha Wahab can be sworn in. Hopefully, I mean, we haven't heard anything from the House because you remember earlier this year, somebody won a special election in Arizona, a Democrat, and they didn't seat her at first. So we haven't heard any of that, but something to keep in mind. It's doubtful, but I don't believe the House is in session until the beginning of September. So at least September after, next week, 2 weeks from now, that could be go time. Not going to be much to do for her to the end of the year in election season, but it's one of the big things of this winning the third election here is now that person has incumbency I was going to say quasi incumbency, but they have incumbency. So that is a big thing. It's not because the timing, the ballot in November will not show the rematch of Melissa Hernandez and Aisha Wahab as Aisha Wahab is the incumbent because that's the filing's already been done like what 12 days ago. So that won't change on the ballot. But that doesn't mean anything that you can't say that when you're going around. So it's a big thing here for to have that title. Because every time Aisha Wahab's on TV, it's going to be she's going to be she's going to be uh, Congress member, Representative Aisha Wahab. So that's something that gets in the mind. She can put it out on the mailer. She can put all that. She's the Congress. She won the election. So that is a big thing here. Uh, we saw that this election uh, wasn't supposed to be this close, and it may not be that close. I could see this getting up to 8 points by the end of the day. So you start to it's a wild roller coaster. Election night, you're like, oh my Lord, Aisha Wahab. I'm a supporter of Aisha Wahab. Oh my God, it's tight. Shouldn't be tight. She won by 26 points, 21 points before. What is going on here? Well, that was early. Now now we're looking at 6. We could be looking at 8 at the end of the day. Now, in the grand scheme of things, and you've seen this if you watch election night on MS Now, CNN, Fox News, you will see casually candidates when they run it down, like, oh, it was a 8-point win. That's a solid win. So that is a solid win. But here's now the question that's now for November is that a 6 point, a 7, 6.5, whatever it is, up to 8? Is that enough to tell APAC and people like that and the bundling operation that's brought all these like $1 million to Melissa Hernandez's campaign, her own campaign, do they pull back? That is the big question. Is that enough of a spread to say we lost? Because that's going to be the news on everywhere. That's going to be the take is that APAC lost again, even though they really, really did a magnificent job to pollute the waters in this district, pollute the waters and create such a such a strange dynamic. Like if anybody out there wants to do, you're in political science and you want to do your master's, do it on this race because it's so interesting that you had this person who had just a organizational the establishment behind her, had the 2 elections and blowouts, and then the dynamics are completely changed. The other one has all this money, more than we've ever seen. The other one doesn't have any. And now you got this situation here where, well, now we look at it, and now it's all different. Now APAC lost, just like they lost in Michigan. That's going to be the takeaway from at large, right? But if you're in East Bay Insiders and you've been following it, that is not really the takeaway here. In some ways, it kind of felt like it's a victory for Aisha Wahab, but it also kind of felt like it was a loss there if you were her supporters or in the Democratic Party is behind her. So that's one of the dynamics here. Does AIPAC what message do they take from this election result? We're going to pack it up. We lost again, or we can continue this onslaught and maybe get our person Melissa Hernandez into Congress for what is the big prize the next 2 years to get in the cycle of that. That's going to be the question here. I don't know. There's an argument I would say against APAC continuing that this will be a bigger pool in November. It's a midterm, so it's not going to be like a presidential turnout, but it'll still be, I don't know, 40%, 45, maybe. I haven't gone back to see what our traditional midterm November turnout is, but there will definitely be more. Um, they could probably also count on labor. Where was labor? That's what they keep telling me. I don't know. I'm not in the union anymore. I don't know where they are, but it's a good question. It does seem most people think that they kind of got flat-footed here. And so will they get flat-footed again? It's debatable whether they should put more money in because this is a dim on dim race, and they got November election. There's lots of races all over that they could be putting money on there. So we'll see. I'm sure that they've gotten calls from certain camps of where were you, but there's a lot of interesting things going on here. So that is the big thing. So there's also the other way we talked about on Tuesday night. There's there a pushback to APAC? Do the labor come in and say, could they also say, like, no, we're not going to get caught flat footed this time and bring everything they got into this race and nullify if we get that much money? I don't know. I'll tell you my opinion. I think 6%, 8% defeat for a group that has seemingly unlimited money. I think they continue. I think they continue. And I think they say our negative ads, which were very negative, they're not truthful. Is like it's one of those things where you put the opponent in the position is like it's like a football analogy. If the defensive line is taking steroids and you're an offensive lineman and you're not, you're doing the right thing, well, you're going to be out of a job because your quarterback's going to keep getting sacked because you can't keep up with these guys who are cheating, doing drugs. So that's one of the things. Like, if APAC continues this in November, Aisha Wahab, I would say her campaign is going to have to get dirty, going to have to start throwing punches hard. And then, that's not good for the electorate. And even though people say they don't like negative ads, but they work, but I don't think it's not healthy. It's not healthy. But we'll see. One of the things we'll look at in November, I would think that, Aisha Wahab left a lot on the table. And if I'm a Melissa Hernandez team 2.0, I'm like, wow. I'm thinking they're like, wow, I can't believe they left Eric Swalwell on the table. Aisha Wahab left Eric Swalwell on the table, which has so many connections to Team Hernandez, right? Left it on the table. Left this burgeoning corruption scandal that looks like it's going to come to the Tri-Valley that's already has the supervisor Halbert's chief of staff in its sights. That was left on the table. So the second one, I don't know what you could do, but the first one is definitely Eric Swalwell. There was connections. It is well known. Let's go back to February. It was well known that Melissa Hernandez was angling to get Eric Swalwell's endorsement, and it would have been massive. We're talking Eric Swalwell February, not Eric Swalwell April 10th, when we found out all this stuff that I've been trying to tell you all these years. Anyway, yeah, don't tell me I was right. I already know that. Okay, doesn't help. It doesn't help. Anyway, that was her angle. It's why she sought and hired Eric Swalwell's longtime and I believe only political consultant, Lisa Tucker. That was the play. That was the play. So if nothing happens, think about this. Let's go back in time. What if? If nothing happens to Eric Swalwell, he's likely the governor. He's in the seat. He's not. He's in Becerra's seat right now. He is the guy going against Steve Hilton, and he's going to win. And everybody's paying alms to Eric Swalwell. You're so great, and everyone's good. And then, boom, we would have seen an Eric Swalwell endorsement for Hernandez. It would have been big. Everybody would have gone crazy. But then, of course, that didn't happen, right? Because then we found out what happened, and then we found out what happened today with Eric Swalwell. So Eric Swalwell is he's in big trouble, man. He's in big trouble. We find out today that his phone was seized at SFO on Saturday night. And what was he doing here? Was he going to the Melissa Hernandez campaign party, or what was he doing here, right? So it looks all coordinated. The feds grab his cell phone, laptop. They go to his house in Washington, get some stuff there. Then on Monday, there's a release of those FBI investigations from and over a decade ago. And then we then hear news today about what happened on Saturday. So there's a coordinated effort here, and it doesn't really help Melissa Hernandez because there are connections. There are connections. There's a lot of people in that campaign, a lot of people that were donors to the early Swalwell times. They're on that team. This is the team. When I wrote about this is 2.0, Swalwell 2.0, it is. It is. Not the bad stuff, but the team that brought you Eric Swalwell is trying to put this was the team here. So, everything's all timing, right? So we got, does anybody, like, what could we can do here? We get some questions. That's what I want to do here. I'm flying alone here at East Bay Insiders. Uh, Somebody wants to know did Alameda County have ballot boxes outside of CA14? I don't know. And I don't know. I don't know if you would do that. I don't know if that would make any sense. Uh, I mean, possibly. I don't know. That I do not know. We got one here. Maybe the mobilization of pissed off progressives in light of the mayor's led to that surge of support. Yeah, I mean that's from Mr. Castro Valley, my hometown, Michael Kusiak. Thank you, brother. Uh, that's what I thought. That's what I was expected that there'd be a blowback, right? There would be, and the way I put it is that in terms of how these ballots come in, real quick, is that those are the first on 8:15 after 8 on Tuesday night of election night. The first results you see are the first ballots that come in, and it's well known. Typically, those are going to be more conservative, moderate voters. I guess, if you're conservative, you get stuff done. Like, give me that ballot. What? Okay, send it in. And so that's what we saw. That's why I was saying on Tuesday, and even I wrote before, that whatever number that we see from Melissa Hernandez is probably her high point. And it was pretty much that, right? It was pretty much that. It was at what, 40, almost 49%. That's the high point now, and you would expect it to go down. But that was my thought in my mind, is like thinking of the voters, how voters think, that you're going to see that onslaught of mailers every day, and then the same commercials multiple times on the news and sporting events for Melissa Hernandez or against Isha Wahab. In my mind, I thought after a while, the same thing, the same story gets tuned out, and then it actually starts hurting the campaign. You start getting mad, or you start thinking there's reasonable doubt. Hey, if this is true about Aisha Wahab, then why you got to tell it to me literally 800 times? So then you get the psychology where people start getting reasonable doubt. And then when we got further down to maybe the ballots that we saw counted today, you got the people that were like those people. And then when news that this onslaught of money was coming from AIPAC, the idea like somebody far away was telling people in the district how to run their affairs, and you get that anger. And it was kind of that time when Aisha Wahab's social media, and you saw more people like talking on social media themselves, talking her up, that build it up. So yes, and that long soliloquy for Michael Kusiak, yeah, I do. I think that's what happened. And so, I mean, if you're the Hernandez campaign, do you take that? Because you went from a blowout to, within range. Within range. The question is, you can't do that again. You cannot. You cannot be. Aisha Wahab is siding with people who want fentanyl for kids and human traffickers. You can't do it. You can't do it any again. We got also a question. What's your projection for November? More APAC money? As I said, I think so. But they're going to have to make that decision, right? They're going to have to look and see what's going on here. We have to see. I want to reiterate, we have to see how this plays out nationally, because if this wasn't have the tagging of Eric Swalwell, I don't think you get much airtime nationally, right? but it's Eric Swalwell. Everybody wants to know about it. Just the newsroom thought, right? How does this play nationally? Hell yeah. Hey, everybody, you know that Eric Swalwell, that dirty bastard. Here's who's going to replace him. Oh, I want to know about that. Okay. Oh, interesting. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll have to see what happened. Watch cable news tonight. See how it's framed. Is it framed that APAC lost again? Ooh, they're going to be like, oh man, they might give up, right? I don't think they'll say like, let's keep going. But I do see in November there. We also didn't talk about that this special primary. So the election and special primary in June 16th, and then yesterday or this week's special election, those were pre Prop 50 lines, right? So Melissa Hernandez did have a disadvantage because she was the mayor of Dublin, and that had got carved out. Pre 50, Dublin's carved out. So Dublin voters largely were not a part of these last two elections. So they will be. Now we're going to go back to post Prop 50 lines, which has Dublin in November. I don't know. I'm not sure. If I look at the map, I don't. I believe that even though Melissa Hernandez is Tri Valley, that's her home zone. She was the mayor there. I'm not convinced that her popularity is monolithic whatsoever. And I've said this before. I think there's a little bit, as I delved more over the years into Tri Valley, I think there's a little bit of a rivalry between the unincorporated, small parts of that, Livermore, Pleasanton against Dublin. I mean, wouldn't you? You're just trying to live. You got some deficits in your city, and then you got Dublin walking in, with a fur coat. They're walking around with fur coats. We got $30 million surplus. You're like, you son of, I hate you. So you could understand how that would be a little bit of a rivalry, right? I think that's it. You see in these maps, and you saw in the other three, Aisha Wahab, I'm not really entirely sure, is really cleans up in Livermore. Livermore is like her town. And if we look at the map more, and I look briefly at them, these new maps, electoral maps, well, Aisha Wahab really was really obviously strong in Hayward, also strong in Union City, Dakota, strong in like the northern parts of Fremont. Now, the problem for Aisha Wahab is when you get closer to the border with the 17th district in the southern part of Fremont, that's in the 14th, she had problems. Melissa Hernandez did a really good job and was really pulling. I saw places like 58% in some precincts for Melissa Hernandez down there. So that is something that probably has to do with the caste bill that Aisha Wahab try to get through the legislature that got, we talk about the Indian people are mad about this bill. No, the right wing extremists that are Indian that live here, Modi people, they're upset. Otherwise, it was a civil rights bill. Yeah, everybody wants civil rights, right? So that's the group, and that's one of the Melissa Hernandez problems I see going forward into November. Like you got this coalition that got you up into striking distance, got you to 46% right now, right? Might get you to 45 at the end of the day from 17% 2 times before, right? So now these are your ride or die. Now you're riding with Republicans and conservatives and this extremist fringe group that's part of your coalition. I don't know. You're going to have more voters that are probably going to be more center left, progressive in November. I don't know what you're going to say. And the inherent problem. Listen, I know Melissa Hernandez very well. I know her personally very, very well. I don't know how she's going to articulate stuff into November. She's not going to be able to hide. She's going to have to do debates. And now the problem is that these are debates that could be possibly live on TV. These are TV ones. These could be like the Oakland mayor's debate, which wasn't on Channel 2, but it had Channel 2's production values, has Channel 2's morning anchor, and they streamed it live on the website. These could be big time things. This is not League of Women Voters where you can sit there and read off the line. What happened? You can't do that. Like, she's going to have problems here. So that's going to be one. At the end of the day, there's a lot of spinning here, right? So I just want to end this. It's just interesting. Plausible spinning. Melissa Hernandez, as she spun it on CNN on Tuesday night with weird syntax, like I'm saying, but she can spin it like that. It's plausible, totally true that there's a momentum. Nobody thought we'd get this close. We got the Mo. We're going on to November, and look, we're in the game. Unbelievable job. What go team? It's legit, right? But now you got Aisha Wahab now who says, "Hey, I won. Hey, guess what? Guess what, America? I won once, twice, 3 times since June 2nd. 3 times. And now she's going in for the 4th time, possibly in November. That's a big thing. I am now the Congress member of the 14th district. So that's kind of the things happening here. That is Melissa Hernandez is unbelievably she cannot articulate, like I just could not articulate the words right there. Did you see that? But she cannot articulate her stance is a big problem. Big problem. I don't know how she can overcome it, because anytime she's going to sit toe to toe in a room with Aisha Wahab, it would be if she could win even points in that kind of thing, you'd have to be like, this is bigger than the Miracle on Ice, right? Come on. Melissa Hernandez beat Aisha Wahab in a debate. Do you believe in miracles? No, it's not going to happen. So that's going to be one of the things to look for is, will she duck? Because this guy right here, that's what Eric Swalwell did to Pete Stark. When it became clear that Pete Stark, the campaign was like, we cannot put him out there in the November general against Eric Swalwell. They avoided everything. Then Eric Swalwell put out these little rubber duckies because he was ducking, saying Pete Stark is ducking the debates. And that worked. We could see that again in some kind of fashion, because I don't see how Melissa Hernandez could go to that. And that's that's the regular person will go like, why didn't she want to talk? What? I love debates. So that's going to be a big challenge for that campaign. So we have people in Fremont, Union City, Hayward, Pleasanton, Dublin, Livermore, a little bit of by town, Castro Valley, a little sliver of San Leandro. You got a new Congress member today. So congratulations. And for those subscribing, East Bay Insiders at eastbayinsiders.substack.com. Thank you. A lot of people been subscribing in the last couple of weeks, and I should mention like that. Thanks, because we're at a point here. You could get the free one there. That's you just get the first story, the Morning Buzz, and typically over these last 5 years, is the percentage of people that get the free are each month is higher than the ones get the whole thing, $40 a year. 5 days a week, 1,500 words in your email box at 6 a.m. I think it's worth it. I think get the scoop, everything, you want. But I think that I just want to thank everybody. We are, for the first time, the percentage that are paid are coming in more than the free, and I'm telling you, I don't put it in my pocket. I'm trying to make this business big. We're going to take over the media. This is the 25th fastest growing Substack in the whole country in politics right now. And coming from a small niche area, I don't draw from the whole country. So it's all you. And I very much thank you very much, because this needs to be done. We need we need. I'm speaking to the choir. I know you guys, but I firmly believe this is why I started this 15 years ago and didn't want to go to the mainstream media. People need to know this information. And especially at election time, they are not giving you the info. They are not. They simply don't have. They say they don't have the resources. That is BS. They don't have the will. They don't care. And my thing is, if I'm going to write about City Hall and I'm going to write about politics every day for you, I need to be the one that vetted these people when they ran. I can't if I don't pay attention to the election, how do I say anything when they screw up in office? When I knew it. And that's what we're gonna be doing over the next couple months. And, one other thing for everybody here. This is big news here. I don't think I've told this to anybody here, but this is, putting out something and maybe you can help me. But in about a month from now, I'm gonna become an honest man. Getting married in, mid-September, so the East Bay Insiders will be a little bit different the week prior to, what's like the 13th, and then the week after. I'm putting together some, profiles of some of the candidates, hopefully doing a little bit of like a Q&A, mini debates with some of these races, and also and here's what I'm asking for anybody out there, you could help me out. I've got 2 already. So to fill while I'm gone, content that I think could be equally interesting. I'm looking for people who want to write, want to take, you can be the guest editor, East Bay Insiders for a day. Pitch me a story, opinion article. Basically, you could be an elected, you could be a former, you could be in a nonprofit. You're somehow connected. You got skin in the game, and you say, there's something going on here that I don't think is right. And this is what it is. And this is how I think I could fix it. And here's my opinion and how we can do that. So send me what you got. If you're on, just pitch me. Going to need it around the end, or sorry, around Labor Day, maybe a little bit after. Got to edit it, put the package together for when I'm gone and then on a mini honeymoon. So again, got an idea? Pitch me, and I'm open to anything here. I got 2 already, got some good ones already. 2 good ones, one from Oakland, one from unincorporated, a little more housing. Any issue, just send it to me. But the idea is generally, you see a problem, this is why it happened, this is how I'm gonna fix it. And we'll put you on there. You'll be in charge of the East Bay Insiders for a Day guest editor. But in the meantime, I'm Steve Tavares. I am your friendly neighborhood journalist, and I'll see you soon here. And also one other thing, no newsletter tomorrow, but I'll be back on Monday. And for paid subscribers, you get the Sunday planner for the week. Though there's not much, but there's going to soon be a lot on stuff going on. So we'll be back in city government next month. It's coming up soon. And in the meantime, thank you for everybody for coming on here. I'm Steve Tavares, East Bay Insiders. Ciao.